Trucking industry. I posted several videos about the trucking industry and how there's some challenges and about left lane parking and stuff like that. And I've gotten a lot of emails privately. This is a message from a gentleman named John. And I quote, "Your video about trucking company shows your own ignorance about the trucking industry. You may know the financial side. Before you make a video, educate yourself about what you are talking about first. Number crunching is only part of the industry. You also have to look at things from all sides. In the trucking, you also have to realize that cars, drivers, and so on." He goes on to talk about other things. Then I responded to that, and I asked about his experience in the trucking industry. Then he says, "First, I have 20 years of business management experience running businesses for others." Okay, first clue. Why aren't you running your own business, John? If you have a lot of experience, why haven't you started your own business? He goes on to say that it's impossible to run a trucking business or any type of company if you don't start off as a driver. And he's emphasizing, and he's adamant about this, he's emphasizing you got to know every part of that business before you can run it. I guess that's the way he learned, right? He started off as a driver, then he got an office job, and then he was running companies. And he was very adamant about, and there's no changing his mind, there's no debate. I've asked him 3 or 4 times to schedule a Zoom call so I could record it, because it would be nice to have the opposite view of what I believe. And I think it would have made a great video. And I said, you could really help educate a lot of young people who are in the process of starting a business. And he agrees, and he's probably going to become a management consultant. That's the impression that I get. But he's challenging my belief, but he won't get on the Zoom call. And I didn't even say we were going to record it and post it, but he just will not join on the Zoom call. So here's what he believes. And I've got 344,000 business owners who believe what John believes. You got to start by knowing the job. You got to start being a driver. How can you run a company if you don't know what it's like to be a driver, right? And he's very adamant about that. And you've got to wash your trucks, and you got to know what the fuel prices are, and what it's like to be on the highway, and what it's like to sleep in the truck. He didn't say this stuff, but I'm paraphrasing. I'm thinking what he's probably going to say on the future emails. So you have to really understand what it's like to be a truck driver. And I'm thinking, why? Why is that necessary? Right? Could I wash a truck? Yeah, of course I could. Could I fuel a truck? Could I learn to drive a truck? Yeah, I'm sure I could. I've driven longer vehicles like buses and larger RVs and stuff. So could I learn to drive? Of course I could. Right? I started driving when I was 12. So could I do that? Of course I could. Now, the point that I'm trying to make is, if you're, and he's saying the way to earn respect from your employees is by cleaning toilets, washing trucks, driving the trucks, and that's how you earn respect. And I'm thinking, John, if that's the only way you have to motivate your employees is by suffering with them, that's no motivation at all. And going back to the 344,000 business owners, yes, you can start a business like that, and I would say 99% of small businesses started with someone working with their hands. Whether it was in construction, truck driving, restaurants, whatever it was, someone started, by doing with their hands. What's the advantage and disadvantage of that? Well, the disadvantage is now you are the business, and it's going to be almost impossible for you to get out of that role. Because if you teach your clients you are the business, why would they want to talk to your salespeople? Why would they want to talk to your assistant? Why would they want to talk to anyone else? You already trained your clients you are the business, so they're going to talk to you every time. And good luck taking a 2-week or 6-month holiday, because it won't happen, because you are the business, right? Second part of that equation is if you're doing your employees' work, who is doing the CEO's work, right? And companies like this, I mean, they survive for 10, 20, 40 years, but they rarely get beyond $1 or $2 million. If you want to design a business, and this is what we do, we design businesses to go to 20 million, 100 million in revenue. And if you want to design a business that works for you instead of you being a slave to your business, I mean, he said it himself. He's talking about scrubbing toilets, right? He's talking about scrubbing toilets. And if you're scrubbing toilets, who's leading your organization, John? Right? And you've been in the management industry for 20 years. How fast did these companies grow? Were you north of 20 million? Were you north of 100 million? Have you ever worked in $1 billion business? Have you ever redesigned $1 billion business? We have, right? And can you redesign, a 20 million or $100 million business if you're scrubbing the toilets or driving a truck or washing trucks or whatever it is he's trying to suggest that I do? All right. And can you have a helicopter perspective of the business? Can you be a visionary of that business if you're driving a truck? His opinion is extremely popular. Like I said, everybody believes that's the only way you can start a business. I've been involved in designing businesses now for 40 years. We've helped create 1,000 millionaires in my 40-year career. We don't start businesses like that because businesses like that, John, have a 96 to 99% failure rate because no one is driving the bus. Okay? 96 to 99% failure rate. Do a Google search, right? We have a 1% failure rate in the way we design businesses. And here's a quick recap how to design business. My 20th business is called wildledgerlion.com. It's a bookkeeping with trusted circles. Have a look at the playlist if you want more information. We've been designing and promoting that business now for 12 years. We don't launch that business until March of 2027. Okay? Is that different in the way you would design the business, John? I would say so. That's why we have a 1% failure rate. You have a 96% failure rate. Am I getting this point across, John? Right? If you're going to be in the management consulting industry, it's great that you have experience and you can see things from your perspective, but is that enough? Because you're bringing to the table a 96% failure rate. Is that a good value for your clients to be buying? Because even though we have a 1% failure rate, we have 30 subcontractors who have opposing views, and we debate and we wrestle different ideas to make sure what we're implementing, and we only implemented tried, tested, and true strategies, proven strategies. We don't do this trial and error bullshit. Okay? So if you're in the trucking industry or any type of industry, I suggest you have someone like John on your board, but you also have someone like me on your board who sees the opposite. Right? Because if you stack your board or your advisory group with people who believe what you believe, you are screwed. Right? You are screwed because even though you have 25 or 20 people on your advisory group, they're seeing the same thing, right? They're seeing the same thing. Who's arguing with the opposing views? No one, right? And this is the problem about having like-minded people in your business. You have to hire people who believe what the opposite of what you believe, or else you're not seeing the full picture. Even then, you can't see the full picture. I have 6 business advisors, and I still can't see the full picture. That's why I was asking John to have a conversation, because I would like to see to a level that he believes in his vision. He's not willing. So type trucking below, type artificial AI below, type business blueprint, because we keep talking about the business blueprint. The business blueprint is how you're going to eliminate all your future problems, because you're going to design the problems out before you create them. Type AI below, type trucking below. We'll talk again soon. Take care.